sports. Just be inclusive.
Could not agree more. This is just a bunch of fear-mongering from right-wing bigots.
Gonna say it, she's a bigot.
She's been a massive distraction from her team with her hate-filled rhetoric. Sia is not inclusive. And males invading women's sports isn't even a problem, as far as I'm concerned.
These female athletes just need to work harder.
And not blame others for their lack of success.
Transphobe.
As the captain, Sia is very much responsible for these boycotts, which have cost her team a playoff bid.
Guess we'll see how Sia handles all that pressure tonight.
I wanted to show that to start. Hopefully you guys have seen that. I don't know if you've had. If you have, we launched it in February. I believe it was February 5th, and I woke up on February 6th, and my phone had totally blown up because J.K. Rowling had shared it. And suddenly we had about 15 million views in just a few days, and I think it's illustrative of the link between commerce and culture, and that's what I want to talk about. The top line on me for those that don't know me. I got a great intro, but I was an elite gymnast as a child. I was the first whistleblower about abuse in the sport of gymnastics back in 2008, which didn't go particularly well for me. They weren't quite ready for what I had to say at the USOPC and USAG. I went on, had a successful corporate career in fashion, worked at Levi's for 23 years, got myself good and canceled during COVID. For saying the schools should open. How dare I say such a horrible thing? And what I didn't know until I actually resigned was that I would never be allowed back into corporate America again. Never. I did a series of interviews, and I was asked repeatedly, will you apologize for what you've done? What I had done was ask for public school children to have the same opportunity for in-person education as private school children. That's when I lost total respect for the medical community, the folks here not included in that, thank you. But cancellation is real. I'm here to tell the tale. I am not allowed anywhere near a corporate boardroom, an interview. I'm evil. I kind of love it now. It was a little hard to get here. Anyway, I know sports is the tip of the spear of this issue. I know that, and I get criticism for it sometimes from our side. Why aren't you talking about all of it? But it is the tip of the spear, and it's the most public expression of the lie that there is no difference between male and female bodies, and that men can be women if they just say that they are. And I am a marketer, and I add something different to the mix than all the amazing doctors and academics here. And I am interested in influencing the cultural conversation and wresting the culture back with the full force that was taken from us. And we need to stay focused to do that. I'm a brand manager first and foremost, and I need to keep my message very, very focused. Sports is the most public expression of the gender craziness. And we had this amazing inciting incident at the 2022 NCAAs, right? We saw Will Thomas there. We are told repeatedly still in the New York Times that there was no difference between all of these women on the starting blocks. We could see it with our own eyes. But that was an inciting incident. And then we had Riley Gaines come forward as this incredible spokesperson for the cause, who, by the way, talks in very plain language. She doesn't complicate this. She says what we all know to be true. Boys are not girls. Boys cannot become girls. Girls and women deserve their own sports and spaces. We have a long way to go. She helped with that activation, but as you all know in this room, about 80% of Americans, I think it's probably higher, say they agree with us on the issue of sports. The vast majority of them are silent. And as you will learn, if you wear that t-shirt, 9 times out of 10, to your child's soccer game, your grandkid's soccer game, 9 times out of 10, someone's gonna come up to you, lean in and say, I agree with you. And it's like a light bulb moment. It's like you can see the Overton window shifting in real time, and they're going, I'm allowed to say that out loud? Now, 1 time out of 10, someone's going to come and get in your face, and I'm happy to provide advice on what to say. When they do that, stand your ground, be kind, do not back down. They're used to people backing down. These bullies have had the mic for far too long, and that's what this brand is about taking the mic back. I'm not a doctor or a therapist. Many of you are. I've talked to many people here, parents who are dealing with the struggles here. I'm a business person and a brand builder. I'm a capitalist. Would make no apologies for that. I have no advanced degrees. I'm honored to be able to speak on this stage. I want to talk, as I said, about that inextricable link between commerce and culture, and it's been invisible to us, but it's been there. Brands, Nike in particular, has been influencing the way we think about this issue and other issues. Often culture and societal trends shape business strategy, but sometimes it's the reverse. Sometimes brands are used as a tool of culture, and they shape what we think, or they cement what we think. Usually brands and businesses follow. But sometimes they take the lead. And I want to just give you a couple examples. When I was at Levi's, of how integrally linked these things are, when I was at Levi's as a chief marketing officer, I was named in 2013. The brand had been in a more than 10-year decline. And I made the observation to my team, when we're at the center of culture, we win. People love us more, they buy us more. What did that mean? Center of culture, Woodstock. Everybody was wearing Levi's or nothing. That's true. Look at the pictures. I said, we're going to make sure that is true at every festival going forward. Now, if you go to Coachella, everyone is wearing Levi's or nothing. That was by design. We did that. That did not happen by accident. If you look at pictures of the Berlin Wall falling, 1989, there's men atop the wall lined up. They're all wearing Levi's, all of them. Why? It was a symbol, of individual freedom, of rugged individualism. We didn't plan that, but that was pretty great product placement. Anyway, if you look at the mid-90s and the grunge movement, all of its icons wore Levi's on stage. Original Voices wore Levi's on stage. Their fans then wore Levi's. We had lost that magic. And so my job was to put the brand back at the center of culture. That's what I am good at. Brands can contribute to driving the culture. And to overlook that inextricable link is to be incredibly naive. And it is to fight this battle with one hand tied, maybe two hands tied behind our back. Because most people aren't reading academic papers. Most people aren't reading news, let's face it. They're watching TikTok videos, and they'll buy a T-shirt. So we, as a brand leader, to ignore this fact would really be to fail to utilize what I am good at to help propel this movement forward. I'm not good at the things you guys do. We need all of us. But I think given the stage that we are in, broad scale, silent public support, what we need is a campaign to mobilize support. We need to move their hearts and minds. We need tools of culture on our side that are elevated, not crappy brands that make crappy products, great product that compete with the best brands, great content like this ad I showed you that compete with the very best brands. I want to make a note here about Nike, and then I'm going to go at them kind of hard. So, it wasn't until gay marriage passed that every brand started making a rainbow tee. It was after, not before. So they usually follow. But it cemented it in people's minds. I want to be on the right side of history. I'm going to wear the rainbow tee after the fact. They did it after the fact. But it did cement that support for LGBT rights in the public consciousness. And anyone wearing that T-shirt, and I used to say this at Levi's all the time, when you wear a logo on your chest, you're saying this brand aligns with my values. You can reject that. I don't care if you reject that. It's true. You can reject it as something that you want to do. It is true in the culture. And so anyone wearing one of those rainbow tees or flying on an Alaska Airlines plane, which had a rainbow on the side for a while, was saying, I'm on the right side of history. Enter TQIA rights, and the culture is absolutely ill-equipped to cite how this is any different than LGBT equality. They don't get it. All my lefty cohort, my former cohort, they just think I was late then, and I can't be late again, and so I gotta be on the right side, and I gotta wear the Protect the Dolls T-shirt and all the stuff. They want to continue to be on the right side of history, except they are not. We know they are not. It is not the same. The TQIA are demanding more rights, more than equality. They are demanding we deny girls and women of their actual rights because of boys' feelings. They're sterilizing children in the name of medical care. They're insisting incorrect pronouns as applied to mass shooters is bigotry. How about I don't care? I don't give a fuck what your pronoun is. But here's the thing. They've lost their minds. We know this. But what if we made it cool? I'm going to talk in brand language. What if we made it cool to be on our side? It is cool, but the vast majority of people don't know that. The 80%, you guys know it. They're silent. There's like 2% of the 80. You're here in this room, basically, and all the other conferences I go to. They're silent. They're afraid of the names they'll get called. They're afraid of, losing their friends. They're afraid of all the dumb things that have happened to all of us, and we're okay. We're here standing. But what if we made it cool? As I said, I believe we need to wrest the culture back with the full force that it has been taken from us, and we've let the far left own the tools of culture, whether it's film or music or television shows or brands, which you don't think of brands as being on the left. You used to think of the right owning capitalism. That ain't true no more. I'm just here to tell you. I spent many, many years in the hallowed halls. We need legislation, yes. We need the political tide to turn. But you know what? Those things are downstream from culture. They really are. If all the people stood up and said, yeah, no more, the laws, the politicians would change their view, the laws would get passed, and this would be solved. So I'm going to offer up what I know how to do, which is shift the culture. That's the only thing I know how to do. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to do the other stuff. So what I want to do in starting this brand is I want everyone's eyes trained on the girls and the women. That's what you see in this ad that I just showed you, which we call Real Girls Rock. The other side, I'm just going to call them they want our eyes trained on the boys. These poor, sad boys, everybody's discriminating against them. No, they're cheating. I want you to look at the girls. I care about inclusivity. I care about fairness. I care about the girls and women that are losing opportunities. I want to elevate the stories of the girls, the ones who are injured, like Peyton McNabb. I want the ones who lost races and medals, the ones who stand up at school board meetings and then get ostracized. That's the content I want to show, and I want the culture to retrain their eyes on these girls. I want to do for these girls what Nike did for Caster Semenya back in 2017. I'm not going to play you the ad, but I am going to read you some of it because it hits different now. I'll admit I didn't pay that much attention to this ad back at the time, but you guys remember Caster Semenya, 2016 Olympics. Actually, there were 3 men on the podium, no women in the women's 800. What the actual... Anyway, so right after that, Nike releases a series of ads over the course of 2 years focused on Semenya. Here's some copy from one of them. Would it be... This is him saying it. Would it be easier for you if I wasn't so fast? Would it be simpler if I stopped winning? Would it be more comfortable if I was less proud? No, it would be more comfortable if you competed in men's. That's what would be more comfortable for us. Because you're a man. You won the gold medal in 2016. The top 100 high school boys would have beaten you in the United States in one country. So, no, it's not because you're proud. It's not any of those things. That Nike ad hits different now, but you understand what I'm saying. They put this idea in the culture that it was mean and misogynist and racist to say that is a man with testicles and he needs to compete in he is competing in women's. He needs to compete in the men's category. It furthered this idea in the culture. And you know what? The press then carried water after Nike started doing it. I pulled some headlines from 2017 when this campaign launched. I want to read you some of the headlines. Semenya, proving that belief in yourself pays off. No. He's proving that being a man and competing in women's sports, you win gold medals. That's what he's proving. Nike spotlights Semenya's rise. It actually had an exclamation point. That's not just me doing that. No, Nike spotlights the gaslighting of Semenya. Nike's latest ad features another athlete taking a stand. Another athlete cheating, you mean, right? So this started in 2017. I mean, I know a lot of you guys have been at this longer than that, but like in the popular culture's consciousness, you understand. I know Semenya's not trans, it doesn't matter. This is the same lie underneath of it. If you say you're a woman, you are, and you get to compete in women's sports and you get to go in women's spaces, it doesn't matter if you have high testosterone. There's video of him out there right now saying, who cares? Some women have high testosterone. Not this high. the message became, yeah, well, all women are different, and suddenly that devolves into some women have testicles. That's not true. So Nike didn't start this, but they certainly cemented it. And when I went back to kind of do a little research to talk about this, I was sort of stunned at how early they started it. And now, so they are so far away from their 2011 ad, If You Let Me Play. Do you guys remember this ad? Which was amazing. And it made me, I already worked in marketing, but it really made me sort of proud to work in marketing. And it was really this idea featuring young girls. If you let me play sports, all the advantages. I will be more likely to graduate from high school, less likely to get pregnant in high school. I'll be less depressed, better body image, all these things. Amazing, amazing, incredibly high quality work. Now, Nike funds studies to understand how much we can hamper boys with puberty blockers to make it viable for them to compete against girls. Do you guys know about this study? I think you all know. You guys know stuff. They say they didn't. They're not. They did. They maybe stopped because the culture is changing. So that's how far. I mean, as if women and girls are hampered boys and men. We're not impaired boys and men. And as if the whole bodies of those boys don't matter. But this is a brand influencing the culture. And so why are we letting the left use brands as a tool of culture and not taking one for ourselves to try to influence the culture? That's where we come in. That's why it matters. That's why it matters that you wear that T-shirt to your daughter's soccer game. We don't have Nike budgets, but we have virality and we have popular opinion, and we're right, and we have the truth on our side, and we are very feisty. We are athletes, and we're not afraid to punch back. And we're not going to let the other brands manufacture consensus, because that is what they're doing. They're making everybody else who knows the truth too afraid to speak up. They're making it cool to take this wrong-headed position. And we need to fight back, and I think a brand is a really important part of that. We need to change the cultural conversation in addition to the laws. And in fact, the laws will change when the cultural conversation change. So we got to kind of go backwards to go forward. We got to do all of it at once. I'm fighting it on the legislative front as well. I'm the chairperson for a ballot initiative in the state of Colorado to protect girls' sports. We're doing really well with signatures so far. If you live in Colorado, please help us get signatures on the petitions. But in the last few months, I'll wrap it up and I'll take a few questions. We've seen a spate of examples, I think, that show the way that brands, businesses, and culture intersect. We saw Cracker Barrel think they knew what they thought they knew what they were doing when they took the old guy out of the logo. They got it wrong. They totally misread the culture vibes on that one, at least for their core consumer. We saw American Eagle put a hot girl in jeans, and it worked. Who knew that was going to work? And we saw Google admit that they kicked people off their platform under pressure during COVID, which those of us who were big mouths during COVID knew. Culture meet commerce again and again and again. You can love it, you can hate it, it doesn't matter. It's just true. That's why I do it. That's why we're here. There are folks even on our side who sort of criticize what we're doing. You're too late. It's too superficial. No, it's not. You can write papers. Go do that. Academics write papers. Change the way students think. That's not my job. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you, I keep pointing at you, I apologize, you're right here and you're wearing our T-shirt, to wear that T-shirt and provoke a conversation at the grocery store, at the soccer field, everywhere. I will tell you one quick story and then I'll be done. I wear our clothes every single day, obviously. My daughter plays soccer. I was at her practice. She was wearing that shirt. She's little. She's 8. And a lady came up to me who I'd known for years. Our kids go to the same school. Her name's Monica. Poor Monica. I tell this story everywhere. She's lesbian. I know her and her wife. The wife is a world-class, or was, rugby player. She comes up to me and she says, I don't know if you know what that means. I was like, I do. She said, it's really offensive. And I realized in that moment, okay, I have to do this. I have to have this. It's easier on TV or even here. Like, I have to stand here one-to-one and I have to have this conversation. And that's what I tell people to do and why to wear this shirt. So I said, I do know what it means. I believe very strongly that I don't believe there are two sexes. Men can't become women and girls deserve their own sports and spaces, period. And she was stunned. She couldn't believe I didn't just say, oh, why is it offensive, and I'll have her not wear that anymore. So we went on, and she did all the tropes and said all the things and all the cliches, and she told me this would lead to genital checks, and it was going to impact the masculine-looking girls, and all the things, and all the lines, the taglines. And then at the end, she said, well, at least we can agree on the fact that we both care about girls. I just care about all the girls. And I said, you mean the ones that are boys? And then she said, well, I trust that you just will have your daughter not wear that shirt to soccer anymore. And I said, no, you'd be wrong. And I walked away, and I went home, and I ordered T-shirts to bring to all the parents on the team that I knew agreed with us, so that half of us now show up wearing the T-shirts, and she won't bother us all. So that's my story. That's what I mean by changing. Like, she thought I was just going to be quiet. And I was very nice. I never raised my voice. I don't really raise my voice. Anyway, that's my story. Wear the T-shirt, have the hard conversation. I'm happy to take a couple questions. I think we have 3 minutes. Yes?
Is it here? Okay. So back in the 80s, Run DMC killed it with my Adidas. I think Jefferson Airplane was paired with Levi's. So the brand, the cool, the image, but the number one hit with the bullet and the star, where is that component, or how does that component get the personality, the cool? Where does that come from?
Yeah. It's a good question. I made this my mission at Levi's. I got a lot of, we worked with every musician you can imagine. I met them all. I know them all. If they didn't have an authentic Levi's story, really wear the brand, I didn't work with them, because most people have a Levi's story. We reach out to athletes every single day. We are building our athlete team. We've got about 250 right now of non-famous athletes, but athletes nonetheless. They are too afraid right now, most of the well-known famous athletes. But I have had serious conversations with some, and we will get one. That's all I'll say. I keep going. I don't want anyone to do it that isn't ready for the backlash and the onslaught. I don't want to get someone in a position they're not ready for. It's hard. We provide community and support when they do it, and we will get one. We're close. I agree with you, we need it, and I am fighting for it every day. They're too scared right now. Anyone else?
Yes, over here.
Oh, hi.
Can you explain the phenomena of how Nike has been able to be successful in spite of being on the wrong side of history? So I'll give an example of Heaven's Gate. Everybody knows the Nike, when all the bodies were laying there, and yet they're still able to be successful.
Yeah, it's a magical brand trick, I think. Nike treats women with astonishing disregard. I could name 10 examples. I'll give you just a couple. Allison Felix, when she was pregnant, one of their most famous female athletes, canned her. Mary Kane, best runner in the world, when she went to their running club, abused her to suicidality. 100 female executives, dossier on the CEO's desk, Mark Parker, he got kind of pushed out because of it, of the sexual harassment they endured at Nike. And yet, they burnished this image as a pro-women brand. Nobody cares. They are really great brand marketers. They just are. And everybody ignores this stuff. I'm a great brand marketer, too. So I'm going to continue to say those things. And people they love a brand and they don't walk away even after they know. All the brand boycotts, for the most part, other than Bud Light, which totally worked, most of them don't go anywhere. But that brand connection is real. They ignore all the stuff that, kind of provides cognitive dissonance, and they like their Jordans. And they don't have an alternative. That's where I come in. Provide an alternative. Is that it? Am I done? 4 seconds? No? Awesome. Thank you, guys.